Hello there, welcome to Top Files newest vlogs video. This is not a vlogs video, but we gotta talk about lots of different things that are going on with the world. We have the Nepal protests. A Gen Z protest was something of the very topic recently coming up today. Because besides the Nepal one, we have that one. Great video on that. 30 million views right now at this moment. I'm somewhere else right now currently, and I'm currently going to be doing this in somebody else's place. I was given permission to be able to record here because they have a gym in Strat, and this should not be a place that could dox where I'm at. So let's get on with the information. First, we need to get on with the Gen Z. I just want to be able to say what I need to say is that when you do those protests, please make sure to report anybody who causes acts of violence that is not acceptable. If anybody does protest, please protest peacefully, please protest properly. We don't want anybody doing something wrong, because currently the protests are going on in Bangladesh, Nepal, Turkey, France, United States. We have it, sadly I wish it happened in Russia, but it's not happening in Russia. So it's also occurring in the United States, and it's also occurring in Japan. Currently there's an entire global censorship war going on, but there's also these Gen Z protests. These Gen Z protests are influenced by lots of different certain factors with the things that have been going on that relate to fascism. Fascism is at a current high in lots of countries are converting into authoritarianism. Currently, the United States is not in a really well spot, and currently the government has fully shut down as I'm speaking currently right now. My name is the Projectian. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that we can get this video anywhere else. And we'll get on with it. So, we need to first talk about a few things. When you do those protests, please make sure to follow and abide by normal human world moral conduct and law, right? Just don't attack anybody innocent. Don't start robbing stores, right? Stop doing that. Don't do that. And please protest responsibly. Now, we know we have people going out there who are attacking government facility buildings and burning them down. Great. Please do that. Just don't actually kill any of the people that are inside those buildings, right? The purpose is that we're telling them, hey, we're serious about our rights, and we're serious about the current change that's going on in this world. We are a connected generation right now. The most connected is Gen Z right now. Besides Generation Alpha, we are the ones who will be doing the world changing. Things are going on, and we need that to happen right now. There's a famous phrase from me where I said, we're not going to do it in a decade. We're not going to make change happen in 5 years or 20 years. We want it to happen this month. We want it to happen this year, right? Donald Trump is moving faster than people trying to make those changes happen. The government shutdown is an example of that. Lots of federal parks are going to be hurt from the government shutdown. Lots of legal processes are going to be hurt from the shutdown. Lots of businesses will be shut down. Lots of federal employees won't get their pay. Lots of international employees will not get their pay. And lots of processes that have to do with giving out crime or taking out orders or doing trade or managing public parks funded by these people, or medical related issues that require a court appeal or something like that. That's going to be gone. If you're going to need those services and you want to call Social Security or get a passport, well, that's going to be delayed. And this is going to affect all sorts of airports with besides the tariff that's about to appear that Donald Trump decided to want to pass, which is some of the most stupidest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But we're not here to say anything too graphic, because then, you know what's going to go on when I try to say those types of things. And the AI overview just won't, summarize what I'm trying to say, because if I say something too strict, then it won't summarize me. But to keep it PG is that we need you to protest peacefully. We need you to take down any government buildings if it's so the government decides to use military force or police force. Please take out any buildings that you see, right? Invade them and tell the people leave. Don't actually do harm to anybody that is illegal. It's not just only illegal, you don't need a God to tell you that's really bad. Hurting people just makes them want to hurt us back, right? Let's not repeat the process of corruption by fighting back with corruption. Know your law, know your rights. Now, countries have different laws, right? They have different nuances, different cultures, traditions, but it should be the same for every country. To make this a universal application against the fight, right? Against the fight with, including all sorts of fascists that we're going to put into this equation. Against fascism, the fight needs to be applied fairly, justly, but we also need to be able to apply much more extreme types of values to go fight against fascism. To fight against fascism, you need to actually show them force. You need to show them how dedicated you are as people to, to get the message across and tell them, hey, we're actually legit serious. I also want to say is that Gen Z is also in a spot where people are just not willing to take us seriously. They still don't want to take us seriously. You can hear me clearly speaking to my heart saying, hey, protest peacefully, abide by legal human conduct, value human life. Don't actually remove people from the equation, right? That's just not good. Hurting people and taking people out of the equation is not good. If the police and military get really aggressive, then take down the department buildings. They're going to be able to pay for it. Most governments should be able to pay for the destruction, right? And the point is that we need to get their attention and say, hey, we're not just playing video games and fooling around, playing with our Barbies or Beyblades anymore. We're not just children. We're legit adults who can't even imagine a future for ourselves because the governments have just said, yeah, basically, we give up on you and try to make it, right? It's supposed to be hard, like some rich people say. It's supposed to be hard to get a job. It's supposed to be hard to start a child. No, it's not hard for you guys. You guys are rich. That's why you can't see that. You guys never struggled. But my generation is the one who's supposedly supposed to have it easy. I don't think so. We're not treated the same. We're not treated the same, and we're larger in numbers. So we have Peru having a Gen Z revolution, right? It's protesting. It won't work if we can't actually apply the pressure. We need to make that happen. We need to make those differences occur as fast as possible. So we're not protesting and just yelling out of the top of our lungs for no change to happen. We need to make this organized on social media. Also, whenever somebody is doing something illegal and protesting, right, but with violence and are committing crimes, make sure to always take out your phone, record them, take photos and videos, and make sure to report them to authorities so that the authorities can get an idea that we're protesting, but we're protesting without violence. Meaning to show them that we're able and capable of protesting without violence. Get over it. If the government sees that we're doing that, we're doing all sorts of like crazy throwing strat over in the street, then how is it supposed to believe us, right? Because then they think, oh, we're a generation of violence. We must be an extreme group. Let's not do that, all right? I will tell people, I'm gonna go tell people right now that, hey, if you do something really illegal and you start, participating in acts of violence and anarchy within these protests, we're gonna come for you and we're gonna take you out of the felony equation. Let's not do that. Protest with peace, inform yourselves, and we need strong leaders. Currently, we have lots of names to pick on. Peru has a protest going on. We had a protest in Nepal that was really violent, right? Because there was no choice. It was a long story of a built-up resent against Nepo kids and Nepo babies, right? A corruption movement. So we need to get that into the equation. So I also need to mention there's protests in France, but they're not as significantly effective as protests for smaller countries. Bangladesh is one of them. And we have Japan dealing with the censorship laws. There's still a fight against it, and countries are still trying to censor the internet. Because what you need to think further ahead of is that we're not just like fussing over censorship like if it's something smaller. You see, Donald Trump and lots of current dictators and authoritarians are going for the things that rich people or people who are influencers who are in power, have. They're going for stations, news stations. They're going for legal limits. They're going against lawyers, against reporters and news reporters, news hosts and journalists and reportive journalists, game journalists, internet journalists, net historians, people who are in positions of power who have high clout. So while they're taking them out, or trying to take them out with their powers of government while not following or abiding by simple constitutional means, why are they trying to censor the people as well on the side? Well, because if you look at it, the large-scale influence can be done by people who are in positions of power, who are already rich, or who are able to already express their takes to people, right? People who are powerful. And if Donald Trump takes out those, he'll be able to take out large-scale influential means of people who are able to fight against fascism. Fascism, by the way, is the means of value in a group rather than an individual. Fascism can be seen as a form of dictatorship, right? well, coined by Mussolini, if you did your simple research. And I also want to say is that the censorship comes in mind because if you take out the very extremely influential, smart people out there who have money and a large follower base, censoring is another thing you can do to take out the small scale changes of this world. If you make sure that the small changes of the world, like small parts of it, are harder to change, if you make those harder to change, who's going to be up there to be able to make the small changes happen at a very specific level of change? You see, they're going for larger, major scale changes. People who are major changeos, we call them major changeos because the people who have power, influence, and intelligence, who are able to do a lot with what they are able to say and actually do with what do what they're actually trying to say, right? Which is make good changes like saving healthcare, saving Medicare, giving people fairness to speak their freedoms, speak their issues out to the president or governors, which is not what Donald Trump's respecting, along with certain other governors that we know. Senators are currently discussing at the moment we are right now with the government shutdown happening, where both sides can't seem to find an agreement, and it might be a while until somebody gives in. And Democrats they won't sign anything there. They won't say yes to what Republicans have to say, because if they were to sign it, if you were able to do your simple research and you were MAGA, if you're MAGA, if you did your simple research, what they're about to sign in, if Democrats and Republicans agreed on this bill for, the government shutdown so that it comes back up, what they'll agree on is that you'll basically suffer, right? You'll need to travel farther for hospitals. Your rural hospitals, local hospitals are going to shut down. Lots of people are going to lose their job. People are going to have to pay higher in insurance premiums for Medicare or medical, like stuff like that. Like higher numbers for those. Percentages will go up. You'll pay more for your medical bills and stuff like that. Or your medical insurance. That's going to go up by 75%, 50%. If you want to do the math, basically you'll pay hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars more for the stuff that you need to pay for like your simple injuries and sicknesses, surgeries, and all sorts of things related to bones and injury. So there's that. But they also will remove immigrant rights. They'll remove citizenship rights. They'll attack transgender people. They'll attack people of ethnicity, right? Different ethnicities, from being able to be treated as same people. They want to attack women's rights. They want to attack African American rights. And I'm sounding like I'm just like right now. I feel like I'm saying stuff that's supposed to have ended since like the 70s and 80s. But no, here we are. But yeah, those protests are going on. We need to stay informed as possible, but we also need to make sure that we are not committing acts of violence in return for acts of violence that is being dealt to us, right? Violence makes absolutely no sense. Stop that, right? It's ridiculous. I also need to say is that Roblox, I want to talk about Roblox, but right now we're dealing with world issues. It's problematic, and it's working. We've taken down several governments or have entirely reformed them. You can search up into Nepal and how they elected somebody over for their government through Discord, right? It went through Discord. They tried to talk with the current leader of Nepal. The Nepal leader didn't show up, and then, they elected an interim prime minister for their country. It was all Gen Z that did that, and the military were, instead of you thinking the military would be against their people, the military actually literally helped the people, right, after the protest, after they were done. And yeah, stuff like that happened, and we did have to report people who were trying to, settle everything into a country of anarchism. We had to report lots of really troubling people. I also need to say is that with that in mind, I hope you're able to think about this more, right? That change can't be done as a human race. As long as we work together to, make sure we deal the difference, we deal damage, lots of damage, we deal it fairly, right? And we deal it with as much nonviolence as possible. We know that burning down buildings and burning down parliament or government buildings is, in a way, violence itself, property damage. But some of that might be necessary to make changes happen, because you could do that. You just can't actually hurt the people you're doing that in, right? We had that accident already happen in Nepal, and we had that happen in Peru. We just need to make this happen on a larger scale, because with the Gen Z being the most interconnected, right, race right? As a whole, a segment of the race, of the human race. We need to make these changes happen because your parents won't do that for you, and we're not waiting a decade to make this happen. It's gotta happen now! Now! As fast as possible, right? We need to make this happen. Here's how we'll do it. Gather in Gen Z protests and get yourself connected with people who are informed, who have peaceful means and have really educated means of making a difference for this world. Currently, our people who are able to fight for us in this country, there's lesser of them and they're getting older. We need to make new leaders. And this is part of most generational battles. It is just a part of the process. If people get hurt, people get hurt. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. The difference is that we actually see the value of those human lives being lost, or human lives that are being injured in the process for the fight of freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of citizenship, and freedom of right, and freedom of privacy, and freedom of humanity. It should be always pursued in the fight for freedom as a whole, right? It can be extended and it should always be adapted to the current era that we are in, knowing that most governments aren't actually, adapted to the current era that we are in technologically, economically either. Economically, that's also an issue. The wealth, right? Wealth, income, inequality, right? It's at a high. We can talk about that. That makes me sound like Bernie Sanders here for a second, but that's a good thing actually. But we need to take over New York. We need to stop sending soldiers over there. We have Donald Trump basically playing around with generals of the United States to send troops in over to our cities as practicing grounds for military activity, which, by the way, I think I only saw that in China, and I think I only saw that in Russia, which shouldn't be happening over here because we're not in a authoritarian country, right? We're not an authoritarian country, right? Or are you still not caught up to date? But we have Stop Chat Control, Stop Killer Robots, Invisible.org, right? Invisible.org, we have that as well. We have HR 987. We need to remove COPPA 2.0. We need to fight against KOSA, KOSA, KOSA. COPPA 2.0 is COPPA 2.0. If you don't know how to spell it, Stop Chat Control, Stop Chat Control, Stop Killer Robots, Nepenthes. HR 97 is the fair access to banking act so that Visa, MasterCard don't touch our games, right? Besides Stop Killing Games, right? Stop Killing Games is another I can also mention in the fight against these people. And we also have Ice Cube, right? We have Cube Tracker for ICE. We have ICE trackers online that you can get in case ICE agents try to come into your house with masks to try to kidnap you for simply exercising your rights as an immigrant. If you want that, make sure to watch this video recently made by Wired, where they had an immigrant lawyer come up for explaining how immigrants work, which you should not rely take this information from anywhere else besides people who know what they are talking about. In a world where facts are seen as a form of harassment, in a world where people are seeing facts as a form of harassment, mainly the more stupid people who are not able to listen to reason anymore. You want to give up on the people who are too far lost and then move on with people who are in, right? Who are in this synchronization of things, who are able to make justice out of what is going on. Because right now people are lost and scared, and we need to be able to give those people a place to stay at. We're currently also trying to construct the second internet. A place where people can go around, at full privacy without the interception and intervention of the government doing anything to you, right? We don't want the government watching you. We hate that. For the current governments that we're in, that are filled with all sorts of dictators and people with fascist mindsets. So, with all that said, stay safe out there. Protest peacefully. Report any anarchy or any crime-causing activity in protest. Show the police that we're a people of peace. Show them we care, and show them that we're not young anymore. We're adults. You should be adult. I hope you take this to mind, right? Please take this into mind and do something about it. You need to do something about it. And also, stay informed. We need more informed leaders. We need young leaders. Our leaders are getting older. We need new leaders. We're in information Armageddon. And we need a higher education on what's going on for data centers. We need to fix this outdated electricity system. By the way, the system for electricity is outdated, and the tax rate, right? The ratepayer rate for all the people paying for electricity, that's going to shoot straight up because of the bill as well that the Democrats and Republicans can't agree on, because the Republicans just want to give tax breaks to the rich, right? And give them $1 trillion plus in tax break. So I hope that is in your mind. If you hate rich people getting away with everything, and you're MAGA and you hate rich people doing whatever, why are you still voting for a Republican? Why are you still voting for those ugly people? Stop it. The Democrats, literally, the only thing that now they need to get is to neutralize everything and then head the other direction. It doesn't matter if it's blue, red, or orange. Nobody gives a shred. The value for human life is at the lowest as it can, and we need to be able to value human life again. I hope this reaches you, and I guess that will be the end of the video. Do as much as you can. Go on the internet, and if you need sources, I'll give you sources. Because the global censorship war is interconnected with this. Because to assault, major scale influences like, major changos. Major changos are people with power who have influence and intelligence, are able to actually act upon what they're saying. If they tackle those, for them to tackle smaller, minor scale changes like us, people who are not able to do major, huge changes or spends on like really good changes, they will censor us, and then they will tackle major ones with lawsuits. So we can afford lawsuits, but we cannot afford somebody to censor our freedoms of information. And that is where it goes to as a whole. My name is Viswat Prez Nicholas. My name is the President. I've been at this for 7 years. I'm a dedicated fighter in this fight. Believe me, so I believe myself to be a messenger. Because if I can't go out there and spend all tons of money to fight against these corporations or governments, well, if I can't do that, I might as well organize. I will help people organize, and I'll help you get the information you need. And if you feel scared, I'm here for you as well. Think of me as your professor, your father, your teacher, or just me, the projecting itself. I rarely mention what my ethnicity is on this channel because I want people to see me for me, the projecting itself. I don't say if I'm Mexican or American or Russian. Those things don't define me, and it shouldn't define you as all. So, after all, we're all humans, and right now, people don't see value in humanity anymore, and we need to be able to reestablish that before making these major changes. So, while we are stressed, please make sure to just avoid from going into the darkness as far as possible, right? And protest your heart out. So, with that said, stay safe out there. My name is Visash Maggie. Subscribe to the channel, please like, and that is all I have to say.